Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are around this beautiful planet of ours. Well, it's the 1st of November, a new month. It's time to do the Bitcoin price prediction for the month of November. We're going to look at Bitcoin as a whole in terms of the whole cryptocurrency space. And I found five major things, five things that stand out to me for the month of November that I want to share with you after the analysis. So this is something that we've been doing for several months now. I can say that from the channel, we're going back to August, September, October. Now, this is our fourth one here in November. So this is going to be a permanent thing on the channel, monthly price and market forecast updates. There is a playlist for this particular series, so make sure you stick around till the end of the video. You can check it out. And of course, we do review the previous month because it's very easy to jump online and say 300K Bitcoin or whatever friggin' number you're coming up with, and then never go back and reflect on it, because a lot of this crap is lost in the algorithm. People pump out shit ton of content. Sorry for the swearing early on, but essentially there's a lot of content pumped out, and there's nothing that goes back to review that. So that's what I hope and aim to do in these videos. Go back and reflect on it, because we can be wrong, and that is part of being a full-time active investor in the market. We have to reflect on what we do. So if you haven't already, subscribe, like, bell notification, all that stuff down below. Here are the previous videos on the channel, which we have been following the total market as a holistic investor that we are here. And that previous video going back to October is right there. There's a playlist at the end of the video. Lastly, we've got our free trading seminar coming up. So if you're watching this in the future, check out the links down below for Bybit and BitGet. But if you're here now, go and check that right now ASAP. This is closing in a few days. So after this video, click that and go through the details there. And the BitGet link does work now. So thanks for the updates. Check that BitGet link out there for everyone. So the previous month we had was October, and we were looking on our prediction was for investors to buy in the cycle low zone. That has worked out very, very well. We're now at 20,500. So that low cycle buy zone was 19.6K and under. Traders, trading range opportunities. So we saw opportunities for traders to be in that trading range. And we saw a little bit of a kick on towards the end of the month, which is what we were expecting for October. And those trading opportunities to become more lucrative with breakouts and increased volatility. So one little thing that I didn't think happened that I was expecting was there to be more volatility and probably a bigger bar for Bitcoin. So we did see it on the S&P, but we didn't see it so much on Bitcoin. Let's have a look at what can happen this month. And I want to get through those five major things that I think are coming up. One in particular is to do with altcoins as well. You know, I've been a very big advocator of not buying all of the altcoin dips. Yes, I'm not going to catch the bottom. I've said that many, many times before. And all these guys that are talking about getting altcoins on dips have most likely been screwed when they look at their numbers, which most of them don't look at the numbers, because you buy all the way down and then you think, I caught the bottom, but you know, you've been buying all the way down, your cryptos are now down 90%. So the first thing I want to have a look at after getting through my rant on altcoins is what we're looking at in terms of the overall cycle. So what is this in context to? We're looking at the 18.6 year cycle. Bitcoin is a very small component of the overall financial space. You know, if it disappeared tomorrow, it's not going to affect anything. It's going to affect the few of us who are investing in it, but overall, it's not going to affect governments. It's not going to affect land values. It's not going to affect the everyday person. So we have to really keep that in mind when we look at the overall cycles here. And this particular cycle is our 18 to 20 year cycle for the land and economy. So far, we are in this middle section and we are finding our way out of it, grinding out. It does take years. This is not a thing that happens overnight, but we are grinding our way out. And once we get to this peak, things are going to be crazy. And this is where I think Bitcoin is in the cycle itself. I think it's going to peak earlier than the top of this cycle, which is due around 2026, maybe a little later. And Bitcoin is going to run up into that. We've got a few years to go for that. Now I'm looking at the S&P first up here with a ton of lines. Don't worry, we're going to get into it in more detail, because this is going to be our overall roadmap for Bitcoin. Now I've got a lot to do with Bitcoin as well, but it's really important to have a look at the cycles for the S&P 500, basically the biggest stock market in the world. If people aren't investing here, they don't really want to be too interested in cryptocurrency. Sure, we're going to see stuff pop on and off That's cool. But I'm talking overall. We're talking macro here because we can't go through every single 20,000 different cryptocurrencies. So we're going to speak generally here. But I will look at what I think is going to happen to altcoins towards the end when we get into Bitcoin. But this is the really key stuff here to give us an idea of this bottoming process which is going on in Bitcoin right now. So what I have here is S&P on a monthly chart. Vertical lines are all of the Novembers previously. There is over 70 years of data here, which is really, really handy. And of course, if you want to use the Dow Jones, you've got over 100 years there, but we're going to stick to the S&P right now. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at some of these cycles and what has happened previously in context with the 18.6 year cycle. If it gets a little bit confusing, don't worry, stick with us because we'll get into the details of it and exactly what I think is going to happen from this point. November coming up now, we had a close for October. Now last year we had the peak was close to the November. We actually got the peak just slightly into January. So basically Q4, which is what we were in, had that last move up into the peak. That's 1 year ago. 2 years ago, had a nice move out in November, and all of these vertical lines are basically the January dates. Where we currently sit, which we've looked at, is on the 50% level. Very good macro support level for a market to find a low, whether it's 32, 35, it's in a good space to find a low. So let's now go back over the most significant cycles that Gann looked at. 7 years, we're looking at 10 years, 20 years, most importantly, 60 years, these big cycles. And remember, we're in context here with the 18.6 year. We're in the mid-cycle right now, leading into this last one. I know a lot of people are calling for multi-year bear markets, depressions, recessions. That is not our view here. This has been accurate for over 200 years. I forget about all of that other jargon. Things are not different. Things basically rhyme, and we continue on with the cycle because everyone always forgets what's happened in the past. 7 years ago, we had November into this little peak here. So let's zoom in a little more. We had October, nice pump out of the lows around August, September, pump out from October, little peak in November, dropped into another low here into February, so Q1, and then the market moved away into a new all-time high and continued up. This is going to be important looking forward into our next lows. So I just want to look at some of these, otherwise we'll be here all day. 10-year cycle, November, nice little low, market moved away. This is the 18.6 year cycle low. So that's the end of cycle low. We had let's move this. So we had a low in November. Market bounced away for a couple of months. All right, think about that as we move into November and December. There's November, December. January had a little peak and then a drop. February and into March, into that final low in March. Market moved away. That was the end of the cycle and the market took off. Throughout this entire period, everyone was extremely bearish, very, very, very bearish that the world was going to end again. But the low had come in around November. You got another month here, October, November, and then into that March period. Going back, 20-year cycle. So this is basically where we were 20 years ago, which was the mid-cycle of the 18.6 year cycle. So we had October, a pump up into November, a top in December. The market dropped away into March again. Surprise, surprise, things happen very similarly, very similar to here. Yes, the price changes are going to be different, but the cycle, the timing is going to be quite similar. So what I got here is around 4 months. This November bottom to the March bottom, around 4 months. So if you wanted to count it from that crash in October, 4 to 5 months. Again, 5 bars. So 5 months from the October low into the March low. All right, that's the 20-year cycle. Now, if you want to count it back from the other bottom here, it's about 8 months, okay? So a big bottoming process. 5 months there. Let's go back and have a look at 30 years. Not much happened here. You can see a little, I think it was a bottom in October and then a move up in November. Market moved on from that point. 40 years, a little more interesting. We had the bottom in August. This is October, nice pump away, and then November went on from that period into the next peak. 5-month bottoming process from around March to August. All right, so it happened in that middle of the year. Now let's go back all the way to the 60-year cycle, which is very, very important. 60 years, 5-month bottoming process. We had a June low, then we had an October low. That's what we've had this time around. And then a nice big pump away in November as well. So in terms of the movement of the market, I'm expecting something like that, whether it's 5 months now, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and we count from June or October. We just need to see where the market breaks out, and that will give us our understanding of that cycle bottom. And I'll show you that in just a minute, what I mean on Bitcoin, that is. But let's look at the swings here. There's your monthly swing top in August. We've had a swing top in August. Should November break the August top, now this is extremely important. It's going to be one of the big major findings here. We break out from that swing top, I would almost guarantee, because there are no guarantees in the market, almost guarantee that that Bitcoin is not going to break down from the current low, that 17.5K, or if it does, it's not going to be too much further, and you can basically kiss anything under 14K goodbye. There's not going to be a 12K, there's not going to be a 10, there's not going to be a 6 or a 3. If this market breaks above here, above a swing top, which I'll show you, then I highly doubt. The probabilities basically swing in the direction of the bulls once that swing top is broken. This is on the macro, on the monthly here. And even if we did get a slightly lower low for Bitcoin, I know I'm on the S&P, but the whole point is the analysis remains the same across the market, and we have far more data to use here on the S&P. We break that, you can basically kiss 12, 14, 10, all those sorts of things goodbye. All right, so that's a really big, important point to note in case people continue to wait for those lower prices. It's a bear market rally. It's a bear market rally. That sort of nonsense will make people lose a lot of money, and they'll get sucked into the FOMO as the market continues to rise, because before they know it, the weekly swing top's broken, market's taken off, and they're still waiting on 12 or 10K Bitcoin, and they have to buy in so much higher. This is basically like an indication that it's not going to happen. I don't know anyone else that pinpoints those exact levels, because this is Gann swing analysis, which is over 100 years in the making. So the S&P is telling us a few things here. Bottoming process, 3 to 6 months. All right, we're going to count that once we get a break of the swing top. November has shown to be a reasonable time for a month to go up, especially if October has provided a low, or it's been a green month, depending on where it is in the cycle as well. And so we've seen these on the 60-year and the 20-year as well. It's around this period that we start to get a push out of the market. Is it going to be super fast like it has done in the past, or are we going to grind away for a few months? That's going to be a key one here. And then when we have that signal to tell us if it's going to break out, and we look at that weekly swing top as well. All right, so S&P has given us a hell of a lot of information here for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin does not have as much data. The other big thing here is the FOMO. The FOMO that's still in the market, like everything is about to break down, and the world's coming to an end, I think is going to screw a lot of people. Don't get sucked into the fear of the market. Now is not the time to be fearful, nor is it the time to be sucked into FOMO. All right, and we'll have those signals coming up in a sec. So yeah, these are all the cycle lows, how long it's taken to grind away. That's what I'm looking for coming up. There, of course, are many signals, invalidation points, should the market break down, but we're not there yet. Let's not worry about that at this point. It looks like we're in that bottoming process. Quick look at the Dixie before we get into the Bitcoin analysis. Dixie has broken down. We've seen this. The weekly swing bottom has broken for the first time in about 11 months since December of last year. So should this continue on, it might be here for several more weeks unless it can break back above. Otherwise, this is the topping pattern in process. Okay, that's what I'm going to leave it at, because we've talked a lot about the US dollar and we've got a lot more to get through as well. So essentially, the US dollar has turned into a weaker position right now. That is going to be a good thing for people investing in assets, commodities, risk on stuff. Okay, so that's going to be good for Bitcoin. Over to Bitcoin. Now, we've looked at these cycle buy zones. This has come into play again. It's been pretty good. This may be invalidated in the next cycle should we not pump up anywhere near as high as what we have done in the past. We'll wait and see. I'm not confirming that just yet, but there is that possibility, because as the market continues to have less bigger moves up and less drops, like massive drops down, then this is not going to be as significant for that particular cycle. But we have not seen that next top come in. So let's wait and see. For now, this has worked out pretty well, buying under 19.6K. has been pretty good so far. Now, the next Bitcoin chart here is the cycle chart. So we look back into the Novembers of Bitcoin, and previous cycle, we had the November top. So 12 months ago, our 1 year anniversary, we had the top in the market. October was a good month. November got the top. Going into the bull market of 2020, November got the breakout month. So that was the month that it broke the previous highs. It broke through the resistance levels as the market was building up. It was another good month at that point. In 2019, red month, down. It was the breakdown in the bear market. So that was November 2018, big slump. Bull market, up. Bull market, up in the breakout. Breakout of the accumulation, up. So this is probably the most similar to what we're going through now. I think there might still be a little bit more time, but if there's not, then we see it in the past in 2015 as the market broke out of the accumulation of all of 2015. We also have the 2014 top November month, green before it dumped for those last couple of months and then sideways. So essentially, it's coming to the end. We're not in a bull market, so I don't expect it to be a top by any means. Obviously, we're not going to get that top month. I think 99% of people would understand that by now. But if we look at it in terms of the context of the second last cycle, it could be a good little breakout month to give us some signals of what's to come. All right, going back a little further, it was a top in 2013. So we had a top in 2021 as well. It's a good 8 years there. It was the breakout of the reaccumulation zone back in 2012. And then it was one of the bottoming months in 2011. So that's going back 11 years ago, basically putting a stop in the market, and then it took off from that point. And the last one here is 2010, another breakout month as well. So overall, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but if we look at it in context of the Bitcoin cycle, it can give us a signal of what's to come. So that's the biggest thing I could note from Bitcoin overall. Now, just a quick look at the daily, because yes, there are going to be some resistance levels on the way up, but more of the micro stuff, which is going to be the day-to-day things, which some people get a little bit flustered over because they see the market dropping and pumping and dropping and pumping, and all that FOMO and emotion gets sucked into it. Essentially, we're up to our $20,700 level, that price point that I've put on the chart for a few months now. So we need to start climbing above that level pretty soon, forming a consolidation base here, like a reaccumulation area, before we can pump higher. So 20,700 remains as one of the key levels that I've been looking at since it came in around July, August with this double bottom. That's been a key level on the charts here now for coming up to 3 months. So keep an eye out for that in the short term. And then finally on the Bitcoin futures chart, which had the low so far in October, that gives us an 11-month bear market for BTC. In the past, we've seen a 12-month bear market. So we're only about that month off. And if we don't get a little bit of a lower price here and we get a slightly higher low, so be it. 11 months, 12 months, it's around a very similar period. Overall, I think we are signaling, or Bitcoin is signaling that it wants to move up. Whether this is the final low or not, it does signal that it wants to move up. It's tried many, many times to push down over the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months since the June low came in, and it has closed above the June low many, many times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times so far. So it looks like the bears have worn themselves out, and it's time for the bulls to go and test where the next supply level comes in. And so as I looked at on the S&P, we're looking at if the market breaks above swing tops. Remember the monthly swing top, you can basically kiss any of those sucker targets down below goodbye. I would kiss anything below 10 to 12K goodbye. Should we break 25,200 being a key monthly swing top, and of course we get back above that logarithmic bear market downtrend as well, it's just even more firepower to the bulls. So I bring that up as a really, really key important level here, because if the market breaks up, it doesn't mean that we're going to shoot straight up to new all-time highs. No way in hell I think that's going to happen. But we could get those breakouts and the market slowly drift down over the course of months. Quarter 1, quarter 2, we do often see some tops around that December, early January period before the market fades off again into January and February. And that's where you'll start to hear all of those calls again for lower BTC prices. But then maybe we put in a higher low and they're all left licking their wounds again while the market starts to trend up like we've seen in previous cycles. So that's why I bring it up and make it a really key important area, because I know somewhere down the track people are going to get suckered in, maybe into the FOMO, and then it fades out and they shit themselves, sell out again here before it goes lower, which I don't think it will at that point. And then they don't buy in again and the market does the same sort of cycle, rinse and repeat. The easiest way to avoid that is continue to follow the charts, check the charts here. Of course, like, subscribe, bell notification, watch the previous video so you can learn from this as well. And don't get suckered into those news headlines or anyone just going on about news updates on their channels. Absolute waste of time, in my opinion. So like we've done in previous months, let's recap what I think is going to happen for November in Bitcoin. Bitcoin realistic price prediction. Yep, I think there's a bit of hopium here. And the big thing with altcoins. So the previous predictions so far have been reasonably accurate. The only one I think could have been a little more accurate was October last month. I thought there would be more volatility and a bigger month's bar. There was on the S&P, but not on Bitcoin because Bitcoin was holding up its lows, whereas the S&P found a new low. So August, range bound. September, range bound. Some of the worst months, very difficult, choppy sideways stuff. Okay, you got sucked into a bit of FOMO there with ETH. Now, major topics. Now is not the time to be fearful. I will hammer that home for the rest of this little period that we're in, which I think could last in this bottoming process around 3 to 6 months. Short-term FOMO could last 1 to 2 months if the key levels are broken. That is to the upside. We need to see that 20,700 taken out, and then we could go on to that little bit of a FOMO run up to test 23, 25K. All right, that's what I think may happen here in November. And possibly into the mid part of December, which we've been looking at. Always review the conditions in context of the cycle. This channel is very much focused on cycles. This is not just about looking at is it a green month or a red month, even though I've got here, I think it'll probably be a green, but it's in context of a cycle. Cycles are most important. Timing is far more important than time in. My views, how I've been trading and investing over the last 16 years, timing is everything. All right, and this is the biggest one for altcoins. We're going to start seeing strong versus weak altcoins out of this period. I think Q4, Q1 of 2023, we're already starting to see that with some of these alts, and we're talking about it in our group with our members. So TI Premium, link is down below. That price is also increasing. So if you want to join us on that to learn how to trade and invest long and short terms, check out the links down below. We focus a lot on trading Gann analysis, Wyckoff analysis, and also macro cycles as well. That is going up, so check it out. And we are looking at altcoins, which are signaling stronger versus the weaker ones, the ones that people keep DCAing into all the way down, thinking it's going to be a great thing because it's down 99%, versus the stuff that wasn't down 99%, which is actually stronger. That is going to be a big thing, I think, coming up. I have talked a lot about do not DCA into altcoins because a lot of them are shit. There's 20,000, but there are going to be some key good ones out of this bear market, which are showing bigger, much better signs of strength. All right, that is key. All right, so the prediction for November, here we are. Red or green? Probably green. I think the market is signaling that it wants to go up. History has shown that there's been more green months. To me, it's a throwaway comment because I want to make money from the market. I don't really care green or red, but if I had to pick, I'd go with green. Action for the traders, more trading opportunities. I think especially if we start to get some of these extensions to the upside, going to be some good breakouts here. But I'd still be looking to take profits because until we get a break above 25,200, it's still a bear market rally, even though I have my views of this being a bottoming period. Action for the investors. Don't get sucked into the FOMO, especially as the market rises. Look for those key levels to give you an indication of whether this is a bear market rally or we're starting a new bull market, and then wait for those good periods to DCA into those longer term investments. And that goes on to the altcoins. Watch for strong versus weak altcoins. And if you have weak stuff, my views, I'd be getting the hell out of the weak stuff, getting into the strong stuff. Yes, I think they're good for trading. The weak stuff is going to pump and dump. It's going to happen, going to make some good trades out of it. But for the longer term, I think they will be weaker going into that next bull market and probably not going to get the same significant 1,000% returns, 2,000% returns like some of the other stuff has done in the past. That's my November prediction for Bitcoin and the S&P. Check out the videos that are popping up here on the left-hand side for more in-depth analysis about what we've talked about, and also the links in the top of the video description for our free trading workshop that is closing very soon. Got to get your entries in right now for that. And of course, TI Premium is going up. Links in the video description. Guys, thanks again. Subscribe for the updates and like. I'll see you at the next video. Till then, peace out.